is a lot of goalkeepers, 5 of them around the first team squad. They've got Odysseus on the bench at the moment, who's played in the Premier League, who's played in the Champions League. Only one substitute appearance in the Cup for Newcastle this season. Martin Dubravka is playing well. He looks confident. Eddie Howe was also praising him at his press conference this morning for his distribution and the way that he's helped Newcastle play out from the back with the ball at his feet. He hasn't had a lot to do in terms of shots to be saved in his time in the team. There were a couple at Ipswich. He has made saves, but Newcastle have defended well as a team, which I suppose has protected him. But I think over what is now 7 years at the club, we all know how good Martin Dubravka has been many times for Newcastle United. There was a time he was probably their best performing and most important player, particularly in that period when he arrived in 2018 under Rafa Benitez when they were trying to get out of trouble. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, but it feels like the player, based on what Eddie Howe said there, will make the decision. The fact that he's coming to the end of his contract and they could get something for him might well be significant. I don't think it would be a lot, and it probably wouldn't help that much with PSR, whereas Almiron they probably would be able to get more money for, and that would of course all go towards giving them greater headroom when it comes to spending under the PSR regulations.
Now, Eddie Howe has also been responding to Ando and others who have been speculating about the future of Alexander Isak and other players. You know, Ando's been mentioning him in the same breath as Arsenal a few times, and he's not the only one to have done that, is he?
I think that'll be a theme on Tuesday night, won't it, in the Cup semi-final first leg, Isak and Arsenal, and what's going to happen. I think it's quite calm and relaxed around Newcastle with all of that, and I think supporters of Newcastle have a better grasp of this situation than people further afield, because there's lots of talk in the national media and on fan channels from people who don't cover Newcastle, who don't follow the club closely, about Alexander Isak and Arsenal and whether that would be a good move for him, whether he'd be a good fit for Arsenal. Some people seem to feel like top players like that belong at only a certain small cluster of clubs. Well, Newcastle are trying to get into that group at the top on a permanent basis. Difficult in the PSR world, but keeping their best players is the way to get there. But there is ongoing chatter about Alexander Isak, even if it's not emanating from Newcastle or from the northeast. Yesterday, did you see this? The former Arsenal player, now TV pundit, Paul Merson, said that Arsenal should break the bank to go and get Alexander Isak. Not quite sure how much he thinks they would need to pay, but it would be significant money, wouldn't it? Newcastle's record signing, 62 million a couple of years ago. But I think those comments and all this talk can be frustrating for Newcastle fans. I also think that a lot of supporters are just getting a bit bored by it now, because it's just ongoing, isn't it? And they've managed to hold on to Isak and Bruno and Gordon and others over the last couple of years. But what about Eddie Howe? Does he find comments like that about his star names potentially needing to move on disrespectful?
I think it comes with the territory.